Hey everybody, welcome back to my sewing channel. Today I'm going to show you how I made this reverse applique wristlet clutch. I do a little bit of work on my brother's scan and cut, so you can see how I utilize that, and then you can see how I went ahead and did the reverse, laid in, and then quilted all around. And then I just followed along the regular pattern to complete the clutch in its entirety. So enjoy. So first what I'm going to do is get my scan and cut ready to go with the pattern, and I have it saved within my machine. So first what I'm going to do is I press the pattern, I'm going to go to save data, and because it is saved in my scan and cut, I'm going to press that button, scroll down to my saved item that I want to cut, and you can see right here on the screen that is what I will be cutting today. So I'm going to press OK, and then OK one more time, and then in order to make it cut, you want to actually be sure that you press the cut button. You can see here that it gives you an approximate time of how long it's going to take to cut the actual pattern. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to prep my cork piece to be cut, and I always spray quilt basting spray onto the wrong side of the cork. Just a light dose will do. I'm going to line it up and then apply pressure to make sure that it all sticks. And now before I start cutting, what I want to do is check my blade depth, because I am using an old blade. I am trying to use it until I can't use it anymore. So if you can tell, I have mine set at an 8. I'm actually going to bump it up a little bit higher to an 8.5. Reinsert that back into its carriage holder, push down on the gray lever, and then I'm going to load my mat here. You just want to line it up with the edges, the boundaries here, so you can make sure that you can see, and then you're going to press this top right button, which is the load mat button. So now that I've got everything all ready to go, I'm going to press start and let it do its thing. So now that it's done, you'll see that the blade goes all the way back up to the top left, and it says on the screen finished cutting, so you want to press OK, and then you're going to offload the mat. And then the fun part. This is where we get to pull off and make sure that our design cut all the way through. And if your blade is deep enough, it should cut all the way through the cork without an issue, and you'll see the pieces left over on the mat. So this is what I just cut out, and next what I'm going to do is lay another piece of cork underneath it to create a reverse applique. So in this next step, what I'm going to do before I lay the other cork in behind it is I'm going to burn the back side with a lighter around all of these cut edges, just to seal any little extra frays or anything left overhanging from the cutting. Now what I need to do is I need to measure how large of a piece I need for my reverse applique. So what I'm going to do is take my ruler and measure, and I always do a 1/4 inch, I do a 1/4 inch overhang. So from the farthest outside edges, I'm going to overhang by a 1/4 inch. Alright, so I need 6 by 6.25. Cut that out of here. So 6 by 6.25. And then now you can see that we have both pieces ready to go. So at this point, usually what I would do is take Beacon Fabric and I would apply it around all of the edges of the cutout design. But today what I'm going to do is just use my basting spray again. And so again, this is on the back side of the cork. And I'm going to spray really well around where I want my accent cork to lay. And then I'm just going to carefully apply it. And then you do want to make sure that it's resting nicely on the front side, because when you start to sew around all of this to applique it all together, you don't want these skinny pieces to start shifting. So you can see right there where it started buckling a little bit. That's what we don't want. So if you see that that's happening, you can apply a little bit of glue under there or flip it and re-quilt baste it. But if you do the quilt basting again, you might find that you don't lay the accent piece at exactly the same measurement, so then you can have quilt bastings around the front, which I like to avoid. So after I cut off this video, I'm going to go back through and just put some glue on the underside of this, just to make sure that it doesn't shift when I'm sewing. I've got my glue applied, and then I'm just going to let this set up for a little bit, let it all dry to make sure that it is good to go when I'm ready to sew it. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is add my tag, which will go on the back side of the clutch. And so I'm just going to, I like to measure 1.25 inches down from the top edge, and then center and glue my tag. And then, since I'm here, I might as well go ahead and prep my strap. So if you've watched any of my videos, then you know that I like to use bobby pins to hold my cork. I find that it doesn't leave the marks like the Wonder Clips do, and they're just easier to maneuver when I'm in the middle of sewing. There we go. Now we are ready to go over to the machine. The first thing I'm going to get sewn down is my tag, because I am using beige thread for this. And for the rest of the clutch, I will be using royal purple to match the eggplant cork. There's my tag sewn on. Clip the threads. And then now I just need to switch my thread over. Right now I'm just using Coats & Clark all-purpose thread. And to sew my tag on, I used Sewology thread, which is what I got from Hobby Lobby. There we go. So first I'm going to applique my paw onto my purple. And the way that I do my applique, I do not try to do in any sort of specific form or fashion. I just kind of bebop all the way around and make sure that I get all of, I will make sure that I get all of the purple sewn. And I'm not going to be sewing over the orange. here we go. So you can see how I've made sure to get stitches all the way around the cutouts, and then I've also just crazy quilted it all the way around. You can see on the back here just how it looks. And lastly, to finish prepping, I need to sew my my wrist strap down. So I'm going to start on the side that is open here, the folded edge. I'm going to start at the top. So just across the top here. And then flip it. Flip it, and then I'm just going to continually finger press the whole way down as I remove the bobby pins. And so now we are just going back into the standard way of making the wristlet clutch as outlined in the pattern. So I'm going to apply my zipper to the top edge here. And my zipper head's going to be to the left and face down. You want to be aware of where your zipper stops are so that you don't sew over them. Make sure that your tape is lined up with the top of your cork or whatever you're sewing with. And now we make the zipper sandwich. So take one lining piece, lay it right side down on top of everything else, lining up that top edge to the zipper tape and to the main panel, the front panel. Alright, so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my machine and I'm going to flip it with my cork side up and I'm going to sew my seam over there. Alright, so we've got this top side done with the zipper sandwich with the lining all ready to go. Now we just need to attach the back. So grab my trusty glue here. And line everything up. Again, you want to just scooch the zipper tape around until it is level with the top. And then another thing that you want to pay attention to is that both sides of the cork are even. So mine is just a little bit off, so I'm going to scoot mine over. There we go. And then realign my zipper here. And then we just need to add our lining. Again, right side down. Then we'll go back over to the machine and top stitch, or stitch and then top stitch. So because my zipper head is now at the top where I need to start stitching, I'm going to carefully hold down so that my glue sticks and unzip it just a bit. Just like before, you just flip the cork over, or the vinyl, or whatever you're making your bag out of. You just flip the exterior over, finger press well. Again, I'm going to move my zipper head out of the way here and start my top stitch. And here we go. This is what the inside looks like. And here's the outside. Since I'm already over here, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to grab my strap. I'm going to lay it where I want it to be. Grab a clip. So again, all of this information is in the pattern. I'm going to clip my strap to just the front exterior. Make sure that you unzip your bag at least halfway, and then I'm going to fold this exterior on top of this other, on top of the front, line up the edges and clip. And I'm not clipping my lining, I'm just clipping my exteriors together right now. This end of the strap will stick out, and that's okay. We will tuck it in when we're sewing later. So now that we have our linings to one side, our zippers in the middle, and then our exteriors, I'm going to start at the top. Well, I'm going to turn my whole piece like this. So I'm going to start technically at the bottom of the lining panel, but I'm going to be sure that the first line that I stitch over is where my strap meets up with the inside of my bag. I want to sew opposite of where this overhang is, if that makes sense. And again, if you ever watch any of my videos, you know that I start my sewing off with an L shape because it makes for an easier flip and fold in method. And then I'm going to stop a little bit short of the 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to taper out to this 1/4 inch that I'm going to be doing up here. So this is about a 1/2 inch. I'm going to taper it to a 1/4. And so this is where I'm about to sew over my strap. So go nice and slow. I like to backstitch a few. And then now you're going to stick with the 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around the bag. Alright, so now here we are, we're meeting up with this extra tail here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reach into the linings through the zipper, the unzipped zipper, and I'm going to grab it and pull it out. Lay everything out again, and then continue sewing. Ooh. So there you go. I hit my metal tooth. So give me a second, I gotta change my needle. Figured I might as well show you what I'm using. So these are Schmetz microtex needles. These are size 14. I also always have size 12 on hand too. So I just did a little bit of investigating and I saw that my zipper teeth, like the cap, the end cap, is right there, right where I was trying to sew. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back down here to this bottom edge and I'm going to bring it in just a smidge so that I can tighten that edge up and miss that zipper stop. And then I'm going to hand crank it just in case so I don't. There we go. Okay, so now that I've reached my lining again, I'm going to start tapering it back out to the 1/2 inch. Pivot. And then sew the L. Alrighty, so I'm going to trim my corner, or all of my excess here, especially on the lining. I want it to lay nicely. I trim it down to about 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to trim my zipper tape down, which I do with pinking shears, because rotary blades are too expensive for that. And then because I did bring this side edge in a little bit, I'm going to trim that down as well. Then you can trim your corners there if you'd like. And then here we go. Let's pull it through. So you're going to reach in between the lining. You're going to unzip your zipper all the way. Okay, let me use my correct hand here. And then I just kind of like to fold up the corners a little bit and then start pushing it through. Roll your edges if you're using cork. I find that that helps out a lot. The zipper edge, I'm going to reach back inside and I'm going to pop it out. Roll that edge. And I like to have little curved corners on mine, so that's how I leave mine. And I just realized that I forgot to add an extra stay stitch in my strap, so I'm going to actually flip my bag back out. And in that seam where this strap attaches, I'm going to add a couple more lines of stitching just for stability, because once the bag is full and it's being thrown around and looped and whatever, I want to make sure that this does not come off. So, be right back. Alright, so I went ahead and added that extra stitch over here. Got it flipped all back out. Turn this corner. In this corner, you'll see it lays flat right now, but again, I like all of my corners to be at an angle. So after I stitch the lining together and get everything tucked in, I will form that corner. So the next step would be to just, using your fingers, fold and finger press this lining. And so because we sewed the little L's, it makes this process so much smoother. It just flips it right in. All right, so I'm just gonna go and do a quick line of stitching here across the bottom. I think you guys are all pretty smart, so you don't need to see that, and I will be right back. So normally I don't have my iron on, but in this case I did, so I went ahead and gave this lining a quick press. And now what I'm gonna do is just tuck it inside of the outside, the exterior. And then here is that straight corner that I was talking about. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab it and pinch and push it out in order to give it that angle that I want. Zip it closed, and that will train to stay like that. So here you can see we've got it pretty much almost completed. Here's the front, here's the back, and the inside. The lining nests really nicely in there if you use the measurements that I give you in the pattern. The last step is to add the lobster clasp. Cutting this at an angle is just, again, what I do, so don't feel obligated to do that. I am going to slide my clasp on, fold it over about 1/2 inch, eyeball it as best as I can, and center it, punch a hole, apply a rivet. Fun game where Nicole never knows if her rivets match. Here we go. So now I have a rivet press, which I highly suggest if you do rivets a lot. And then we just clip to the bottom section of the zipper. So you can see I didn't put it through the top section, I put it through the bottom. And then we have it. So now what I will end up doing is I will put something heavy on it just to help it train closed, get all the air out of it. But that's it. That simple. Comes together very quickly. Obviously you can do any applique on the front or the back or any combination of colors. You can get as wild and crazy as you want, or keep it super nice and simple and do all one color. All right, everybody, so I hope that you enjoyed following along as I made this reverse applique wristlet clutch. Again, this pattern is available in my shop, and while this specific applique pattern is not, there are 7 other accent options that come with it. You can do any of those to create your own. There are lots of different customization options there. It's a very quick project, comes together in 45 minutes or less, depending on how quick you are with making them. Once you make the first one, they kind of are very seamless after that. So yeah, if you like the video, do me a favor, click the like button, be sure to subscribe, and I will link another video somewhere around here. Check that one out too. Thanks so much. Have a good day. Stay safe and healthy.